Good morning, good afternoon, good night, good evening, wherever the hell you are in the world. It's a time of day somewhere. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Studs Up, the football podcast. Now, I know it sounds like a musical, but bear with us for now. We're just a bunch of guys that want to sit around, talk some football, and we've got the World Cup coming up, and we're really, really excited. So what we want to do is we want to get cracking, start talking about all the teams, to get through all the players, look at tactics, coaches, and everything to do with the World Cup, because we are absolutely pumped and we've got a lot to say. Joining me, I'm David Semaan. Joining me, I've got Paul with me on my left.
Hello, everybody. Good evening to you all. I'm Paul, your famous Chelsea FC supporter. What, Dave?
It makes me upset when you say that shit, seriously. It makes me upset.
There's nothing better than Chelsea beating Liverpool at Anfield.
Yeah.
With Jose Mourinho pointing his right hand to that crest. Anyways, moving on. Where were we?
All right, we've got Ralph. Ralph with us. Ralph, say hello, Ralph, to the people.
Look, to be honest with you, right now I don't really give a fuck what's going on because I just saw the pizzas sneak in.
Really? I'm not going to turn around because I've got a microphone.
The pizzas are here. Forget about the podcast.
No. We come first before your stomach.
All right. So, yeah.
All right. What pizzas have we got? Can you see them from behind me?
What I can see, to be honest with you, the only thing I could see is the axe shoveling it into his mouth.
I can see.
He's doing a
I can
fantastic
see
job
George
there.
leaning forward, so he's clearly taking a bite.
Good on you, George.
Is there garlic bread?
Is there any garlic, George?
Shit's not
Garlic
going
bread.
on the podcast, is it right?
He's got it. He'll never let you down.
Yeah, Will.
And that individual you just heard asking whether the pizza garlic bread conversation was going on the podcast, that's Ray. Say hello, Ray.
Hey guys, it's Ray here. Famous Man United supporter.
Well, let me just tell you that Ray's wearing a hood and we're inside. Make
just
of that what you will.
Cut it there. Ray's also upset that Miami Heat went down today against San Antonio Spurs in the final. He does have a soft spot for that Miami Heat squad, especially LeBron James.
It was a big shame that loss today, going down 2-1 to the San Antonio Spurs. Hopefully they can turn it around on Friday.
Yeah, well, ladies and gentlemen, I just found out we're doing a basketball podcast, so let's continue on with the basketball podcast. Or do you want to keep going and do the World Cup podcast? Do you want to keep going?
Mate, it's up to you.
We're good to go?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. All right, well, let's get started. Ray, you know what? Ray, you can have the responsibility of starting us off.
All right.
No, I'm not going to do that to you. Let's kick off with Group A, guys. So Group A has Brazil.
The host.
Brazil, Mexico,
Everyone's talking Brazil?
Cameroon,
Yeah,
and Croatia.
Croatia.
Kicking off Friday morning, Brazil-Croatia.
I can't wait.
What's
Be a
going on here?
stellar game.
Brazil, what are we looking at?
I mean, they're going to go through. It's just a matter of
Who comes second, I guess.
Yeah, really. And at the end of the day, it does depend on who plays and whatnot. So really, when it comes down to Brazil, the biggest question you can ask yourself is who's going to play and who's going to start. I mean, I didn't watch the Confederations Cup, admittedly, but I do know that they outperformed. Did you guys keep in touch with?
I saw the final against Spain. They were dominant. And yes, your boy Neymar did have a 10 out of 10 performance. I would say 10 out of 10 during the Confeds Cup itself. Just while I got it there, I know everyone's hyping up about Brazil. I know everyone's going on about Brazil, and they're hosting the tournament, and they've got the squad for it. But Brazil haven't played a competitive qualification match in 4 years here. So the last 4 years, they've basically just played friendlies, regardless of who it's against. Don't you feel that might be the undoing of a tournament here where they haven't had that competitive vibe, just like South Africa
they did
in
have that
2010?
competitive game against Australia. They only beat us by 6-0.
That was
bit of an embarrassment.
That was huge. And you know what? Stand out. Neymar had a fabulous game. It must be very hard to come up against the Australian national team the way they are at the moment, I guess.
Yeah, but the thing is,
just ask France.
see, I'd sort of agree with you if I thought that they were going to have a tough time in that group. But from what I can tell, they got 3 pretty winnable games. Depending on based on their starting lineup and the players they got in the squad and their past performance. But I understand where you're coming from. But a lot of these players play in top European leagues for top European teams. I mean, they're playing competitive games day in, day out, right? So I don't know. It's going to come down to the chemistry, and who better to tie Brazil's chemistry together than Philippe Scolari, who's taken them there before and probably will take them there again. Really, in most people's eyes, they're the favourites.
Chemistry from the coach or from the squad. Like, who starts? Who's your first 11 for Brazil? Clearly, you'd start Neymar up front. What, alongside Hulk? Does Hulk start on the bench?
I'd put Neymar on the bench. Really?
Oh, you're joking here, right? No,
No.
Yeah, he did pick up a knock on the week a couple of days ago, or a couple of nights ago. So you never know. He might start on the bench.
He's playing though, yeah.
He's got to play.
He's
He will
playing.
be playing.
He's not. He doesn't. There's no injury
He'll
cloud
be-
over Neymar. Is there?
In my opinion, he'll be playing the number 10 role. I don't think he'll be the out. He won't be the outlet.
Yeah.
I got a pretty good feeling that they'll start Hulk up front with Neymar in behind, filling those holes.
Well, that's what they did against Panama, and he set up Hulk for 1 goal. He set up another goal, and he scored a goal himself. So he can almost do everything. This kid, you know what I mean?
He certainly can against Panama.
But then, what are you going to do if you close him out? Like if teams start doubling up on him,
Well,
is
then
there are there goals anywhere else in this team?
Well, you're going to have to hope that the flair comes through the midfield, you know, your Oscars, your Ramirez firing through.
Do you think, Ray, do you think that Oscar will play on the left, or do you think that he'll play in the number 10 role? I mean, he's had a fantastic season for Chelsea. He's been fantastic for Brazil as well.
You know what?
And he tracks back.
Yeah, he does. Jose Mourinho has taught him really well. It's a tough question. I think he'll play on the left, though. Neymar will be the number 10 for Brazil.
I think their midfield's chosen already. Like, how do you
Really?
replace? How do you replace
Do you
the midfield?
honestly think that?
You got Oscar Luis Gustavo. You know, you got Willian who can come in at any stage. And you just look at their team, you know, just look at their midfield guys. You
And
got Paulinho,
Ramirez.
Oscar, Fernandinho, who won the Premier League with Manchester City. You take Yaya Toure out of that team, Fernandinho was the best holding midfielder in that squad, in that team,
Yeah.
in that Manchester City team.
Possibly even in the league.
Yeah,
You know what
I'll
I mean?
agree with that.
And then you did the squad's there. The squad's there. They can win the World Cup clearly. We know that.
Will they though?
Well, I'm not going to say that now. Or maybe on the next podcast, mate, tomorrow, because that's how happy you are. Mate.
Do you think this added pressure of them being the host nation, the expectations where basically nothing but the title, the World Cup will be sufficient to their supporters? Do you think that's going to be playing on their minds?
Oh,
I mean,
definitely, yes.
yes,
gonna have
yes,
a
they
huge
won the
burden on 'em.
Confederations Cup, and yes, they won it quite comfortably. But you know, it's just a
Not the same
different kettle
pressure.
of fish.
Yeah,
No
it's
one
not the same
cares
pressure,
about
is
the
it?
Confederations Cup.
Well,
I don't
that's my
understand.
point. That's
I
my
don't
point.
understand
So-
this whole big deal about the Confederations Cup. Countries playing this just for the sake of, you know, getting their name out or whatever it is. Do they get money? Do they even win money for winning the Confederations Cup? Like Fred won the Golden Boot, but Fred's not starting a single game, in my opinion. You know, Fred's not starting a single game, and Fred won the Golden Boot for the Confeds Cup.
I think they get iPad vouchers. I think
Yeah.
iTunes vouchers
You
when
know
they
what,
when they
maybe.
win there, don't they?
Why
Maybe.
not? You know what? I'll take that.
I don't even watch the Confederations Cup enough. If I'm not watching something, it's no good. So, if we're okay. Besides Brazil, then in this squad, I mean, we got Cameroon, Croatia, Mexico. Cameroon's looking pretty. I mean, they got some good players. I mean, Etu and Bia. There's some strength there. I mean,
Mate,
it does depend on
Eto's
how
old
it
enough
comes.
to be your grandfather. Jose Mourinho said it. You know it. Okay.
I am yet to meet a 35-year-old grandfather. Paul,
Okay, mate.
is he 35?
Well, you haven't been
Something.
around
It was
Blacktown,
your boy.
have
It was,
you?
it was your boy. I haven't been around.
You know what? He scored on Portugal's with Chelsea. He scored on Portugal's with Chelsea. But you know what? Is he enough? Come on. Is he enough?
Nah.
Is he enough? All right.
Well, apparently they wouldn't even go to the World Cup until they got paid their bonuses. Did you hear about that the other day?
Yeah, I did. They eventually sorted that out. You know,
That is proper
good old, I
striking,
heard the
isn't it?
banks are looking after that, mate.
Yeah, talk about strikers. That is proper striking, isn't it?
Why is
Imagine
why
not going.
is it
I would
that-
play in the World Cup for fucking free, and they're not going because they haven't paid their. I think their bonus turned out to be about what was it 12.5 grand per person or something.
I
Is
didn't
that-
look that too deep into it. I don't know, Ray, you might know.
No, I wouldn't have a clue, to be honest with you. I couldn't care less what
Come on,
Cameroonian
get
players
LeBron,
are getting
get
paid.
get your mate LeBron to chip him in some money.
Are you going to ask a financial question of a guy wearing a hood? Are you?
Mate.
You know better than that.
Just because you work at a bank, mate.
Oh, fair enough.
So about these overdraft fees.
All right, so nothing to say about Cameroon, really. I mean, at the end of the day, it is going to be Brazil and who? I mean, if we don't think Cameroon, are we saying Croatia? Are we saying Mexico? Pretty much in my mind, it is between those two. And for my money, given the way Mexico qualified and the struggles they had in the qualification, and one look at Croatia's midfield, you have to say Croatia, right?
Yeah, Croatia's got
I'm
the
going with Croatia as well.
No.
I've probably got them as my sleeper for the World Cup as well, Dave.
Really?
They've got such a strong squad, you know. Rakitic,
They're very
Modric,
underrated.
Mandzukic,
They're
Eduardo.
very
don't
underrated.
don't
squad.
forget Mandzukic won't be playing in the first game though. I don't know. You I think the stats say what only 8% of teams have ended up qualifying from the group stage after losing the first game.
But do Croatia just write the first game off?
What?
Don't they just say, listen, we got no Mandzukic, we come against a Brazil team in Brazil, are going to be revving on fire their first game, they're hosting it. Do they just say, listen, let's just not get hammered, let's just go out there, let's
Yeah.
just, lose the game. If we can score a draw somehow, do they write it off and say, let's
No.
get the 6 points
Well,
against
Spain,
Croatia?
Spain,
Sorry,
Spain
Mexico
lost.
and
Spain
Cameroon.
lost their first game in the last World Cup and ended up winning the thing.
Yeah, but like I said, 8%.
I'm not saying Croatia's like Spain. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, I think win, lose or draw against Brazil, I think Croatia have a very good shot of
Oh, yeah.
of going
I'll
through.
tell you now, Brazil better have their heads screwed on for this game.
Oh,
Because
of
you know
course.
what? If they
Of
take this
course.
game lightly, Croatia will win. Croatia will win. Croatia do have the team to win. Brazil's midfield is young. Croatia's midfield is experienced. I know there's no Nico Kranjčar. I know no one makes a big deal out of that, but he was a Jill in that midfield. He's gone for the tournament for people that don't know, but you guys probably know. I think Croatia can do something. Whether they will, that remains to be seen. We'll find out Friday morning, eh?
Well, the interesting thing is they played each other in 2006 and Brazil knocked Croatia out. And actually the coach of Croatia, Niko Kovac, he was actually in that squad that got kicked out of the 2006 World Cup by
Yes,
Brazil.
yes.
So he's got a special added impetus to
He'll
get
be
a
looking
result
for some
against Brazil,
revenge.
yeah?
Was that-
Absolutely.
Was that the Kaká wonder strike?
I think it was.
Kaká's no longer in that team, eh?
1-0. It was 1-0.
Australia beat Croatia that same round as well, mate.
Ah, yeah.
Jeez, how tides have turned.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
No,
Right,
they
imagine
didn't- they
Australia.
didn't beat- Australia
Oh, it was
didn't beat-
2-2, wasn't it? 2-2. Sorry,
two-all
Harry
draw.
Kill. Good old Harry. Good on you, Harry.
Was that
79th
the,
minute
the-
equaliser. Get on you, Harry.
Was that the 3 yellow card incident?
Yes.
It was.
It
The three
certainly
cards,
was.
isn't it?
Graham
What
Poll.
a fucking
Good on you,
disgrace that
Graham
was.
Poll.
What a farce that
That
was.
was fucking horrible.
Speaking of which,
awful.
Simovic was actually he actually began his career in Australia.
Wow.
He actually played in the Australian Institute of Sport.
There you go. How's that for a fun fact?
Something new every day.
Well, I think the biggest thing coming out of this group is the fact that Mexico aren't allowed to eat meat and have sex. For me,
That is massive.
I mean, I'm not. If I was a player, I wouldn't even bother going to the World Cup if I couldn't have sex. If I
Yeah,
couldn't shag any of the
me
birds
too.
that were running around in the World Cup.
Well, I'm sure a lot of them, especially Javier Hernandez and Rafael Marquez, would love to get their hands on some Brazilian birds.
You know what, mate? But you know what, mate? Isn't Javier
How
a good
seductive?
boy?
How seductive did that come out of Ray's mouth just now?
Isn't Javier Hernandez?
I want to shag him after you said that.
Yeah, that's it.
And where have you got that hand? I don't see it on the table.
But isn't Javier Hernandez a good boy? I heard he's a good boy. He's
Yeah,
a
but,
good family boy. Didn't he? When he moved to Man United, I heard that he made his mother and father stop working and brought him over with him. So I don't think he's getting any sex, but I can imagine Herrera getting sex. He would definitely be getting sex. He's probably just trying to be Mr. Selfish here. But
All right, you know what? I can understand the no sex, but no meat.
I think there's got to be something to do with the chemicals that go into the beef and the fact that some of it might be.
Yeah,
banned
that's an odd
substances or
one.
something Like that. It has
I
to
don't
be.
know.
It has to be.
But you
What
need
other
your
reasons is it?
protein. You need your energy.
Yeah, I don't know.
How are you going to run on the field fucking on water?
Maybe they're taking steroids.
Who knows?
I don't know.
If they win the World Cup, there'll definitely be an inquiry there.
Well, the thing is, then, if we're saying predictions, boys, for Group A, what are we saying? We're saying Brazil and who?
Brazil, Croatia for me.
Ralph?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Croatia as well.
Croatia?
I'll say Croatia, Mexico, Brazil choke. That's my.
Are you just
Wow.
prediction for the
Oh,
World
whoa,
Cup.
whoa,
No, no, no,
whoa,
no,
wow.
no, no. This isn't. This
No, no,
isn't.
no,
This
no, no,
isn't.
no, no.
Dave, mate,
You
listen here.
you're being stupid.
This isn't a joke. I feel, and I've been saying it to Ray for the last couple months. Brazil choke. They don't get out of the group. Croatia, Mexico go through.
You do know
You
the
were
Croatia
way.
singing
gets to
their
go through.
praises 5 minutes ago.
Wait, they're a good squad. I can't say they're a bad squad. They're a bad team. They're a great team, great country, football heaven there. But Croatia and Mexico aren't bad teams and are capable of winning.
I don't think Mexico's
Croatia
capable
and
of beating
Mexico.
Brazil.
You asked for my opinion, didn't you, Didn't you, mate? All right, I know we can't use the C word. Sorry, we just can't use the C word. We've promised ourselves during this podcast we won't use the C word. But mate, Brazil don't go through. That's my opinion. Croatia, Mexico go through, guys.
All right,
Next,
well,
please.
you heard
David,
it
what
here
about you?
first. The
What's
most
your thought,
mental opinion ever. Oh, it's got to be Brazil, Croatia.
How much
for me.
heroin did you have before we got into the studio? If you don't mind me asking?
mate?
All right, well,
It's
Brazil,
enough to pay
Brazil,
for the Brazilian
Croatia.
national team.
Brazil, Croatia. All right, we're moving to Group B. Now, this for me, it's got to be Australia and somebody coming through, surely.
Oh,
Surely. Could Australia have gotten a worse fucking group out of the entire draw?
Well, it's one of
If
the
you think
group
about
of
the pots,
deaths.
no, but seriously, if you think about the pots and the different seeds and everything like that, could they have gotten a worse draw? Is this the ultimate draw that they could have gotten in terms of the worst sides to face?
You know what? I was actually quite happy with the draw. I was willing to let go of this World Cup before it began, and I'm one of the people that was I guess I'm one of Ange Postecoglou's biggest supporters. I think he's really going to take Australia to the next level. It's obviously not going to be this World Cup. It's gonna take us 4 years. We're in a transitional phase, and he's laid some of the big guns at home. I mean, yes, Rogic and Kennedy were injured, but the
Let's not
fact that
forget Robbie Cruz. Let's not forget Robbie
and
Cruz.
Robbie Cruz, but
who
the
was
fact that
huge.
he's bringing in some A-League players, he's the man to take us forward. And let's just write this World Cup off. Let's give him the big game experience, and hope we can improve by the next time.
Yeah, you know what, Ralph? That was such a heart-touching story, mate. You know,
Well,
Ange,
look-
Ralph's played professional football for. Who'd you play for, Ralph?
I haven't played for no one.
He's
West
being
Right
modest.
Rover.
He's
So if
being
you do
modest.
need
I'm not being modest. Leave me alone.
if you do need a midfielder out there, give Ralph a call. He's ready to take the ball. No,
think
in all
look,
seriousness,
I
I
think,
will-
Australia,
I will
I
be-
think Australia could use him, really, because, I mean, Tim Cahill's our star player at midfield, and besides him and Mile Jedinak, I don't know where the quality is.
Well, Tim Cahill's naturally a midfielder, and they're thinking about playing him up front on his own.
I just cannot see Australia scoring a goal, let alone getting a point out of this
Gosh,
squad.
come on, mate. We
No,
can
no,
score
no,
a
no.
goal, surely.
They're
No
the lowest
goal.
ranked team at the World Cup, and I just can't see where the quality is going to come from in the squad.
As of today, 64th in the world.
64th in the
Yeah.
world.
In all seriousness, I saw it at 62 today, but I don't know. You're probably right.
Ray, you're right.
I'm using the FIFA World Cup app. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah,
maybe
no,
they're
no,
maybe
no,
I
they're
went
no,
on
lying to
FIFA.com,
me.
Yeah,
mate.
no,
I went
no,
on
no, no.
FIFA.com.
I
I went on
guess-
FIFA.com. I saw 62.
I guess Paul's mind takes precedence over the fact that we have the FIFA.com app. So
Yeah.
I went on FIFA.com on my PC today, and I saw 62. Just
Who
to
uses a
confirm.
PC anymore, Paul? It's old.
My work, mate.
He's
Anyway,
Oh, you don't have tablets
all
over at
ser-
Macquarie.
no, mate. No. We have 2 PCs per person. In all seriousness, going on to what Ralph's saying, I agree with Ralph. Yes, I think we can score a goal. You know, I think we can maybe conjure up a point, maybe 3. Who knows? You know, if a
3?
team doesn't turn up,
who?
well,
Okay, no.
Matt, I agree with Paul. I think we will get
3
a point.
points.
No, 1 point. 1 point. And
Against who?
we're going to get it against the Netherlands. Netherlands has never beaten Australia, and I think that the Netherlands will see us as the team that they can get their goal difference up, and I think they'll choke.
Netherlands have never beaten Australia.
Netherlands have never beaten
Never.
Australia in a competitive fixture.
You know what, boys?
Two draws, and a win to Australia. So there you go, Dave.
You know what, as well,
I'm
boys?
gonna come across sounding like an Australia hater. I'm not. I just can't. I'm looking at the facts, and the cold hard facts say to me that they're gonna die in the ass.
Well, they got smashed 6-0 to France. We got smashed 6-0 to Brazil. We were up 3-0 against Ecuador. We got run down there. Mate, it's an uphill task, and we're all admitting that. So we've got nothing to lose. Like Ralph said, let's use this this World Cup as a transitional phase, build towards the Asia Cup, which we're hosting in 2015, mind you. Okay, and go from there. And we do have Mile Jedinak. And what's that famous stat on Mile Jedinak we've been reading? That he covered the most meters
Of anyone in the World Cup.
of anyone in the World Cup in the regular season football. So there you go, Mile. Good on ya.
Well, I don't think Mile Jedinak or Tim Cahill are the key. I think Matthew Ryan here is the key. He
Yeah.
was stellar in the Jupiler League over in Belgium for Club Brugge. They finished, I think it was 2nd or 3rd, and I think he was 2nd in most clean sheets.
Does he
for his
start?
club.
Does he start?
Well, I think he
Just
should.
on
He'll
top
have
of
to
that,
start.
he did get the goalkeeper of the year. in
Yeah,
Belgium,
see,
so
I think he
yeah,
should start
did.
over who? You're going to give it to Galekovic?
Yeah, fair enough.
Langerack?
Hey, Mitch Langerack plays for Borussia Dortmund, mate.
Yeah, but off the bench.
Oh, he hasn't played a game since 2000.
Yeah, exactly. Well, bring Brad Jones over from Liverpool.
Oh,
Well, that's Australia, guys. We've got a couple of other teams, a couple of small minnows in this in this in this group that we need to
Compared
get
to
through.
Australia, yeah,
compared to
they're
Australia, a
big
couple of
minnows.
small. I like the look of Chile for this World Cup. I really,
Chile-
really do. They're unpredictable. I
Chile
think,
have the fastest transition in football. In
from
my
defence to
opinion.
attack.
From defense to attack, they have the fastest transition in football. If you have, I don't know how many of Chile's games you've seen, but they are absolutely phenomenal. And with Alexis Sanchez spearheading that attack, obviously, what maybe fell out of favour a little bit towards the end of the season with Barcelona.
He still had his best
He-
season at Barcelona.
He
though.
still had his best season at Barcelona, and he was
Yeah.
in my opinion one of their best players.
No, the main man for me in this squad's Arturo Vidal. Probably, in
Definitely.
my opinion, the most complete midfielder.
Has he
Is he
been
out?
ruled out?
Is he out?
I'm
Yeah,
pretty
No.
sure he is now.
No, no,
just
no.
Yeah, he is.
recently this morning been ruled out.
He is.
He is out, yeah.
For the entirety of the World
No, no,
Cup.
he's out for the
Definitely for the
Australian
Australia game. I don't
And-
know about the
And
the
we
whole
use
World
that.
Cup.
We use that
Oh,
as good
for
news.
fuck's sake! Like you get.
This is a shame.
Listen,
This
listen,
list
no,
is just
stop
growing
for-
and
stop-
growing.
Stop for 1 second. Being out for the Australia game is not being out. All right. As far as I'm concerned, every one of these teams could sit out the Australia game, and Australia still couldn't win.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
so just-
Chile needs to win that game to progress. They need that game.
I think Alexis Sanchez will run rings around.
Yeah,
Australia on his
I
own.
don't think I don't. I mean, it's one thing to miss Arturo Vidal against the likes of Spain or the Netherlands, but you're missing Arturo Vidal against Australia. You can pretty much put the bench warmer on.
Where
and
we?
it's
Can
fine.
I just ask a serious question here? Where are we gathering the information that Chile are such a world class outfit? Where are we? Why is this all of a sudden Chile are? Why? Because I've got Alexis Sanchez, who was the leading goal scorer for Barcelona, or he had a stellar season for Barcelona.
Did you watch?
and
Did
Arturo
you watch
Vidal.
the game?
I watched the
against
game
England?
against England. They did beat England 2-0.
Did
fair
you watch
enough.
him at the last World Cup?
I did see him at the last World Cup, bits and pieces of him. Yes, I can't clearly
And
remember that far
they,
back.
They
but
have they've improved immensely since the last World Cup.
Okay.
they've performed really, really well in all the competitive fixtures they've had between then and now.
Okay.
I mean, their qualifying story. I mean, I'm not too.
They finished third.
Yeah, we'll
They
see.
finished third. I mean, yes, they finished behind Colombia and Argentina, but it is Colombia and Argentina.
Okay.
They finished above Uruguay.
They have a squad. They have a squad that's eligible. I'm not gonna say to win the World Cup, but to go through the last 16 and do a bit of damage. But I think just too much is being looked into Chile. I'm not saying they're not going to get out of this group, but I'm just saying that I don't know if we're just
Look,
comparing them to Australia, but they just
exactly. To be honest with you, Paul, the main reason I brought up the fact that Chile have this fantastic transition is because people are just writing off Chile. They're saying people in Australia are saying, this is our chance to progress to the next round, beating Chile. But they're forgetting Chile is still a world-class team. What are they ranked in the world, Ray?
I wouldn't have a
13?
clue.
Mate,
off
Mate,
the
get that
top of my
famous
head.
FIFA app out, mate. Get that famous FIFA app out. And you know what, mate? You know what, guys? We're just
Are
gonna
we-
put
are we
you-
allowed
we're
to
just
use
gonna-
that?
We're
Are
just
we
gonna
allowed
put
to
you.
use that on
We're
the
just gonna put
podcast?
you on hold for 5 seconds while Ray gets out that famous FIFA app. We're gonna check. the
You know what? You might be right about you might be right about Australia.
And you know what?
as
If
well.
I'm right about Australia, George, you got to make sure I get Ray's pizzas.
Oh, the fucking pizzas.
So
are they?
I want Ray's share. And Ray's a
Jo-
big
hey,
eater. Ray's
Axe,
a big
did you leave
eater.
us any pizzas or you eating them all?
No, let's move on. Let's move on. Let's go.
Well, do you guys want to eat? Can you just check behind me? Can we just pause and get something to eat?
Let's
Let's
move on,
finish
boys.
this
Let's
group.
move on, boys.
Let's
Alright,
let's
fair
let's
enough.
finish.
Okay.
Cold pizza's nice.
Netherlands.
I-
What do you think, Dave?
Well,
I personally
they're old.
think
Okay,
I
look,
personally think Netherlands are overrated. That's my personal opinion. Yes, they finished they were the second leading team in the competition. I think. Or what they
In the
scored 30,
qualifications?
34 goals.
Yep. Let's go through that. Let's
34
go through the
goals.
teams that they versed through. Romania, Hungary, Turkey, Estonia, and Andorra.
I rest my case. I think the Netherlands are an aging team.
Yep.
Schneider is an aging player. Yes, he has class. Yes, he did actually was one of the players of the tournament in 2010, but that was 2010.
Okay.
but see, the thing is,
Just to cut you off there, Dave. Sorry. Australia is rank 62, not 64. Is that right?
Yep, that is
And
Thank
what
you
about,
very
what
much.
about
Go on.
Chile, Ray?
Chile is the 14th best team in the world.
There you go, 14.
that is
Now-
the last time I back you up on a podcast, you hooded bastard.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Fuck.
George, you better put 16 slices of pizza away from me. mate.
Spewing.
The thing is, it's not about like I guess you'd have a point talking about Netherlands qualifying if they were versing hard teams, difficult teams, and we were talking about their win rate. But we're not talking about the win rate here. We're talking about the fact that they scored 2 or more goals in every single one of the qualifying games, right?
they
So
versed-
they're obviously a free scoring side. Even though they're playing rubbish sides, they didn't sit back. You look at somebody like Greece, for example. I mean, we'll get to Greece a little later, but you look at Greece, they scored 14 goals in 12 games, right? Now, we're not talking about a side that's like that. We're talking about a side that's at the opposite end of the spectrum, scoring goals for fun against sides that deserve a shellacking. So they have the quality in the squad to score goals. Whether or not they can get out of this group, I don't think so. I think the squads that Chile and Spain have, and again, we'll get to Spain in a second, but I think those squads are pretty much favourites for me in terms of getting through this group. Netherlands do have a chance of taking some points off, definitely more so than Australia. I don't know where you guys are coming across with that, but whether they have the squad quality to get through to the next round, I can't see it.
I didn't say that that Australia has a better squad than Netherlands or
No,
anything like that, and I didn't say that Australia's going to win. But I think that Australia's best chance at a draw will be against the Netherlands, mainly because they're going to sit deep and they're going to invite the pressure. And yes, Netherlands are going to probably have 48 shots on target, but I just think they're going to buckle. That's my personal.
I think
opinion.
for Netherlands, I think what Netherlands need to do in this World Cup to have any chance, even to progress, is play to their strengths. And their strengths is scoring goals. Historically, in World Cups, if you look at statistics, there's not many goals scored in World Cups. Teams are really subdued. They just try to defend. They don't want to concede. They don't want to go down. It's only 3 games.
Especially in the group stages.
Yeah, exactly. So they don't want to score goals. And if you look at it, I don't remember a big score in World Cup match where it's a 3 or a 3-2, maybe 1 or 2 in the last 2 or 3 World Cups. Like, when do you see this? So I think
In the
Netherlands,
knockout
for
stages.
Netherlands, for them to be successful, for them to go through, they need to play to their strengths. Van Persie, Robben, they need to have 10 out of 10 games. Because we know if them two are on fire,
They can tear
you better
any
watch
team
out.
apart.
You better
Yeah.
watch out. But that's my opinion. Ray, you might have something else.
Well, I just think you look at their defense. Ron Vla's their most capped defender, and he's gone to the World Cup. I think that speaks for itself. I don't think they'll do very well. I think they'll leak a lot of goals, especially when they come up against Spain.
Well,
Would
fair enough.
you say that the key match in this group is Spain and Chile. Oh, sorry, Netherlands and Chile.
Of course, winner of that progresses through.
I agree there, right?
Unless Australia has something else to say, which I just don't see.
It
happening.
ain't
Australia
happening,
won't
let's
do
be
Do
anything.
honest.
Australia take on Spain last?
Last,
or-
yes.
Oh, so
That one.
Spain will probably have the group
I
wrapped up
think
by then.
Yeah, Spain will
There,
just.
there might be a chance that they might field the second string side, but I think the third string side of Spain has the has the
let me
opportunity
just, let me
to
just, let
win
me
the
just
World
cut,
Cup.
let me
let's
just
be
cut you
honest.
off of that. I mean, if we move into Spain now, I mean, I don't even want to talk about Spain, to be perfectly honest, because every time I look at this squad list, it makes me fucking angry, right? When you look at this squad list, you could probably make two complete World Cup winning squads out of this list.
And you're talking
mean,
from
this
the 30-man
midfield-
squad.
This midfield is fucking ridiculous. Xavi Alonso, Iniesta, Fabregas, Silva, Busquets, Cazorla. I mean, forget about the midfielders that are in the squad. Let's talk about the midfielders and the players who didn't make it.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. That's
Jesus Navas, Negredo, Premier League winners, by the way. Alcantara obviously is injured, but again, these are the sorts of players they can leave at home. I mean, this is a joke. It's almost like somebody's put a cheat code in FIFA and made this
Their
happen. 'Cause
bench,
it shouldn't be. It
their
shouldn't be
bench
allowed.
could walk into any side in the world, club, country, whatever. Their whole bench could walk into that side.
And also the front line as well. I mean, Fernando Llorente didn't make it. I mean,
And he had a great season at
What's that?
Juventus.
what's that?
I think that's the talking point. I just don't even want to touch that midfield. There's no point because if you say someone deserves to be there, you're doing another player a disservice. Their defense is virtually the same. It's their strikers. Like I'm a Chelsea's boy, and I love Torres. Torres doesn't deserve to make
yeah.
that squad. I don't know. Does Vicente Del Bosque have a soft spot for him? He makes, but does he? What is it? Does
Well,
Torres perform?
I think Fernando Torres makes fantastic coffee. I think that's what it is. I think he makes absolutely fantastic.
Well,
coffee.
one
Does
of
he
my
make good pizzas? How's those pizzas, George?
One of my friends once told me he's a foundation Spain player, so maybe that's the reason why he keeps getting.
Nah,
involved.
look,
I know
is
which
that-
one
is
of
that-
smart
boy,
that
serious-
was.
Is that dickhead
Honestly, boys.
sitting in this room? Is that dickhead sitting
He
in this
might
room?
be. He might be.
Honestly, boys, laugh all you want, but let's be honest. I mean, Torres did get the golden boot at the last World Cup.
When he was playing,
one-
when he was playing,
one of the five.
when he was playing for
One
Liverpool.
of the three. Sorry,
When he
he
was
scored
playing for
5 goals.
During the Euros,
No,
mate,
no.
for Chelsea.
He steps it up for Spain. He does. I mean, yes, in the last friendly, I think he missed an absolute sitter, and he played pretty pathetic. But when he puts on that jersey, it's like he's a different player. It's like he's almost back to Liverpool days. No, he won't be at the level he was at Liverpool, but yes, he will be better than he was at Chelsea.
He won't start a game in my eyes.
Yeah, I don't think so.
He'll
either.
start.
I
He
think
will
he'll
start the
start.
third game.
No, I'm
Listen,
with
mate,
Ray on
He will
this one. I don't
start.
think
He'll
he'll start
start the third game.
I think it
David
depends.
Villa.
I
Against
think
Australia.
I think it depends.
They'll
on,
rip out Torres for the big guns against Australia.
I think
Yeah,
it
the big
depends
guns.
on the formation and the tactics Del Bosque has.
That
He
they
generally
usually
plays
play
a false
one.
nine. He
Yeah.
plays with Fabregas
You
up front,
cannot
right?
play a false nine with Diego Costa in the side.
But with Fabregas, he does. So does he keep all three on the bench? Does Diego? You got Diego.
Well, is
There is-
Diego Costa going to be right?
Diego
for the
Costa-
first-
Diego Costa
think he
match
should
right
be
and he's
right.
going to the
I
World
think
Cup.
he should
For
be
the first
right. And
game?
if he's going to the World Cup, if he sits on the bench, mate, I'll dance naked at the World Cup. I'll fly to Brazil and dance naked at the World Cup.
I hope he doesn't pick him first game because I want to see that.
I don't want to see Ralph dancing naked. For
Diego
the love
Costa's
of
magical
God.
placenta got him to the World Cup. Fernando Torres' magnificent goal-scoring run for Chelsea got him to the World Cup. David Villa signing for Melbourne City got him to the World Cup. So, who starts as the strikers?
Well, there you have
Who
it. There
starts
you-
for you, Dave? Who
well,
starts for you? If
Is
you had to pick
Is
a
Melbourne
striker,
FC even relevant in this conversation?
if you had to pick a striker out of those three, based on form for the season and based on just the overall aura that they have in that national team, who would you pick? Who would you be? I want to hear everyone's prediction. Mine would be none. But boys, who would you go through?
out of the strikers
Out of
that
the
are here,
three, Villa, Torres, Costa.
it'd have to be Costa. I mean,
Right.
you're an idiot. What's wrong with you?
It's got to
No,
be Costa.
he's obviously alluding to the fact that they should be playing a false nine with Fabregas at the top. But he is a
But
Chelsea
then why- but then-
supporter,
but then hold on a
and
second.
Fabregas is
Hold on.
quite possibly coming to Chelsea.
Okay, if that's the case,
And
then
I just want to punch
why
Paul in the
push?
face
Why
right
push so hard to get Costa into the squad? All that garbage that was going on between Spain and Brazil in terms of making sure Costa was eligible. Obviously, doing it for this World
I think
Cup,
it's a
right?
plan B. Because if you
A
notice,
plan B?
historically, when they play that false nine, it's all about possession for Spain, and it's all about Spain passing the ball, doing nothing. and
Didn't
then-
Villa start every game at the last World Cup?
Yes.
Yeah.
But David Villa was 4 years younger and playing for Barcelona, and he was on fire.
And Diego Costa was on fire this season for
Well-
Atletico Madrid, the
well,
La Liga winners.
there you go, mate. If you think Costa will start, we'll wait. Let's wait till what? When do they play? Sunday morning?
I think Sunday morning.
All right, let's wait till Sunday. Moving on, mate.
All right,
moving on.
well, that pretty much wraps up Group B. What do
I'd
we
like
start?
to
What do we
wager on it, but all right.
No, well, no gambling, Ray. You got an issue. We're not going to deal with it here.
Well, the TAB says Spain are the third or fourth favourites to win the World Cup.
Who's first?
Fourth.
Brazil at $3.30.
Brazil,
Yeah.
Argentina, Germany, then Spain.
Okay. All right. Well,
Predictions.
at the
Can't-
risk- at the
what's
risk
your
of this-
prediction, Dave?
I was just going to say, at the risk of this starting to descend into a gambling discussion,
First
what
it
do
was
you- what do you-
basketball, then it was pizza, now it's
yeah,
gambling.
and now
mate.
it's gambling. What are your picks for this group? Spain and who? I'm assuming Spain and somebody. Spain
Well,
and who?
I'm asking you, Dave. Tell
Spain
me.
and Chile.
Spain and Chile.
Yeah, it has to be Spain
Ray?
and Chile.
You know what? I don't like the look of Netherlands' defense, but I think they're going to turn it on when they play Chile and when they play Australia. I'm going Spain, Netherlands.
Spain, Netherlands. All
Paul?
right.
Spain, Chile.
Spain, Chile.
Spain, Chile.
Not
I'm
Spain.
go- I'm-
You want to be a dickhead like you were in the first group and
Can't I
say
put my country and say Spain, Australia?
Spain,
You know
Australia?
what? I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's Spain, Australia. But
I'm sure we all
then
hope
again-
we're wrong.
no, Dave doesn't. Dave supports Lebanon.
Don't-
But Dave is also a disgrace to humanity. Anyway,
Moving on, Group C. Let's
I-
talk about
I-
this fabulous Group C. Come on.
Hey, Lebanon got 5 points in their group.
I know that, Dave, you're going to say Argentina's not getting out of Group C, surely.
No, well, Group C. Well, first of all, Argentina's not getting out of Group C because Argentina's not in Group C. So, well
Sorry,
done to you,
guys.
fucking idiot. Group C.
Colombia.
The group of life, as you
So
eloquently
rightly put it. Well, if that's what I was saying. If Group B is the group of death, Group C has to be the group of life, right? None of these teams have been past the first round of all four of these
Past the
teams have
round
been
of
past the round of 16, and only two have made it past the last.
Made it to the last.
16. Sorry, yeah.
None of them have played each other as well, you know. It's going to be very interesting.
It's open. It's an open group.
Oh,
and
definitely.
You know what? You know what? This will be an entertaining group because all four countries know. Thank you. They've probably thanked the Lord that they have not drawn a big boy.
Yep.
Now I don't know what you're classify big boy, but for me, none of these clubs, none of these countries are big boys. None of them. Do you feel that any of these are odds-on favourites to go the whole way? Just yes or no? Do any of you feel that?
No, not the whole way, but I do feel that Colombia are going to make a good run at this World Cup.
Colombia without Falcao.
Colombia without Falcao.
If Colombia win the group, they'll be playing the runner-up of Group D, which is the second group of death. So, sorry to say, Dave, but I'm going to have to disagree with you there. If they will progress from this group, in my opinion, but it'll be either Italy, Uruguay, or England that they'll be playing in the next round. And I'm sorry, but they got no choice,
So
no
you don't
chance
think- you don't- you
without
don't-
Falcao.
So you don't think a team that almost topped one of the hardest qualifying groups across the entire globe?
Without Brazil in there, let's
But
not
di-
forget.
di-
Right?
don't
Yeah,
forget
without
that was
Brazil in
with
there, fine.
that was with
But still
Falcao.
Argentina. Still
That was
Argentina.
with Falcao. We don't have Falcao at this World Cup.
But the quality of that squad surpasses Falcao. They're not a one-man team by any stretch of the imagination. They have quality that can come in. Jackson Martinez, Rodriguez. They have a couple of players that can step in and actually fill that gap.
And is
I mean,
anyone
how many
forget-
goals? How many goals do you expect out of a top-class
Does anyone
striker
know
of
the
the World Cup?
status? Does anyone know the status of Freddie Gorini? Intel, because I don't. Is he playing? Is he?
Yeah, yeah.
He was
Freddie
out.
Freddie
Is he
Guerin's
there,
going.
there you go. That's another reason why. I don't know. But one thing you got to notice is that I don't think Falcao had a stellar season for Monaco, and I know he got injured, but he wasn't great for Monaco, and he even regrets the move there. You know, reports earlier in the season was saying that he wanted to move out, he wanted to move to Chelsea or Real Madrid, whatever it was, right? And if you look at all four teams, all four have got a struggling front line. So you got Shinji Kagawa, who had a poor season at United. You got Mitroglou, who didn't even get a game at Fulham, so that was a waste of wages. Then you got Colombia, who are virtually without Falcao. Yes, Jackson Martinez can step in. Can he step into Falcao's shoes? I don't know. And then you got Ivory Coast, who you got a Didier Drogba, who's just sort of, just only here just for the feel-good factor about it. He's not going to make an impact. That's in my opinion. Now, where do the goals come from? Where does the entertainment come from? To me, it's just a boring group, and I just hope that, for my sake, for my soft spot for this Ivory Coast team, I hope they get out, but I don't see anything special happening.
I think the two key players of this group will be James Rodriguez for Colombia and Gervinho coming off a stellar season for Roma for Ivory Coast. And I think those are the two teams that will
Why
come
is it
through.
that Gervinho, 90% of the players that leave Arsenal end up being shit? Why is it that Gervinho, with that forehead of his, suddenly became one of the best players in the world? Where the fuck did that come from? Please, someone explain that to me.
Mate,
Mate, he couldn't hit a fucking barn door in Arsenal. Now he's scoring goals. He's setting up goals.
Well, I mean, Paul's talking about the fact that he doesn't see where the goals are coming from. I mean, Solomon Kalou, Javinho, Wilfred Boney, these aren't rubbish players. These are pretty good strikers who had pretty good seasons last season, right? So you're talking about a couple of players here a few players here who could get
but
goals. I
those-
mean, I think Ivory Coast are going to do really well. I think Colombia is really strong as well, even without Falcao. I think
I'm not saying there's going to be no goals. I didn't say that. I'm just saying that I don't see a fantastic, entertaining group here where you got your Suarez, where you got your Daniel Sturridge, where you got your big name world class strikers. Because I think that this group, 4 years ago, plus Falcao, would have been a stellar group. Think about it. How good was Japan? Well, do you know what? Actually, take
hold on. But I think when you look at this squad, right, you got a team from Europe, a team from South America, a team from Asia, and a team from Africa. So it's a very multicultural type of group. You can have a lot of dynamic games in terms of the varying styles of play.
Very multicultural.
It is going to be. It is
group,
going to be an exciting round. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing all of these teams play each other. And for me, it is one of the more open groups because all of these teams.
So this is the perfect group to have a no racism sign.
Yeah, absolutely,
for the
absolutely. Say no racism. Yeah, absolutely. Which is not something we support here. We support racism in full in this podcast. Let's just get that out of the line right now.
I'm going to actually go against the grain here. I think that this is going to be an entertaining group.
Yeah.
Because you have 4.
You're not against the grain. I'm with you. There's a.
Well, I'm against the grain of Paul.
Yeah.
Now,
Aren't we always?
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking at.
How's
4
those pizzas,
teams.
Georgie?
You're looking at 4 teams that the average ranking in the world is very close. I mean, Japan are an entertaining squad. They're a good squad. Yes, they weren't as good as they were 4 years ago, but they still have some key players. I mean, Kazuki Honda, he had a pretty poor season at Milan, let's be honest, but he does step it up for Japan. Shinji Kagawa, same thing. I mean, I don't even think he even played.
This is my
for Man
point.
United.
Yeah, but
That's what I'm
you're
saying.
talking about teams.
No, but
that, you're talking about teams
you
where
said
the
that
players
this was
come
gonna
and
be
they
a
play together in
boring-
unit.
I think that the players not in form will hurt the tournament. Now, whether they can step it up for club and country, I hope they step it up for the country because I'm watching the World Cup and I'm supporting the World Cup. But what I'm saying is that these big name players, unfortunately, have had poor seasons for their clubs. So Shinji, Honda, Drogba, who else in this group? Falcao, who played half a season.
What does Drogba start?
Mitroglou?
Does
Of
Drogba
course he
start for
starts.
Ivory Coast?
Surely you start Drogba.
Not really.
Surely you start
Not
Drogba.
I
really.
wouldn't start Drogba.
Not really.
Oh.
Why would you start Drogba?
Well, who do you start then, Bonnie?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Good on him. Give Bonnie a go. Okay. Start Bonnie.
You're talking,
No
about,
worries.
you're,
All
talking,
right.
you're talking about a striker who had a fantastic season with Swansea. Probably doesn't deserve to be at Swansea. Probably deserves to be at a bigger club. And chances are he will get snapped up in the off-season to a bigger club.
Had a great season the year before at Vitesse as well.
Absolutely. So you're talking about, like I said, this is a group with a lot of talent across the board. It's going to be very open. For me, if I was going to pick it, I'd probably say Colombia and Ivory Coast.
So that's your
going
prediction.
through. That's
Colombia,
my
Ivory
prediction.
Coast. Get out,
Colombia,
Ray. Who
Ivory-
gets out of this group?
Ivory Coast comes first and Colombia comes second.
Ralph.
I really, really hate the fact that I've agreed with Dave with a lot of this conversation in this group, but yeah, I agree with Dave.
So,
Colombia, Ivory Coast.
so it's a clean sweep here. Colombia, Ivory Coast. I'm going the same.
Yeah.
Anyone picking first specifically?
Ivory Coast, I think Yaya Touré's ready. He's going to have a stellar World Cup.
I
Who's
can't
actually, you know
believe
what?
we haven't even spoken about Yaya Toure when it comes to the Ivory Coast. My God. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
right. He's absolutely right. You're talking about a player who's at the top of his game, potentially going to PSG in the off-season, but Ivory Coast is packed with talent. I mean, if I was going to ask a question of their side, I'd ask it in defence.
Defense, yeah.
And any team that has, I'm a Liverpool supporter, and any team that has Kolo Toure in defence, you're going to have to ask questions about him, right? So, for me, that's
Hey,
probably the weak
Kolo Toure wasn't invincible, so I think it demands a little bit of respect.
Yeah.
I think with what the problem was with Yaya is that the difference is that at Manchester City, he had the likes of Silva and Navas and Fernandinho around him, whereas here, he doesn't have that talent. He's got a couple good players alongside. He's got his mate Cheick Tiote there. Did even Demel make the squad? No, he didn't even make the squad.
No.
So. No, well, okay, there you go. So he's got not that the quality's not there with him.
Yeah.
But I think that's what will hurt him. But then again, if he's really a world-class player, just like the likes of what Ronaldo will do, Messi will do with Argentina, he might step up. And you know what? I do think Ivory Coast will finish first, Colombia second.
All right. Colombia, Ivory Coast, guys. Let's
I
see
was
it.
just wondering if
So-
after Group D, you want to have a wrap, go eat the pizzas, then come back since we'll be
fucking
halfway.
I'm starving. So after Group D, let's go have some pizzas. Yeah.
Okay. Just so out of curiosity, so we've all chose Colombia, Ivory Coast.
Ivory Coast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ivory
Ladies and
Coast,
Japan and
Colombia.
Greece are going through.
Yeah. Japan and Greece. What I mean, Greece.
Greece.
Sorry.
The less said
Greece
about
got no
Greece. Can we
chance.
just not talk about Greece, please?
Yeah, sorry.
Do you mind? Do we have to talk about Greece?
The
We have
less
to do like a round the
no.
world type thing. We don't talk about Greece, do we? Because the less said about that team, the better.
We have a lot of Greeks in Australia, mate.
Yeah, but I mean,
Well, what's there to say? Mitroglou played what,
Great,
3
Greek,
games?
Greeks are great people.
Good
but
old, he played 3 minutes.
They
I think
can't.
or
They
something.
can't
Greeks
score
are
goals.
yeah, Greeks are great people. They're just a shit football side.
Yeah, that's it. What they
I
won
mean,
the Euro.
no, no, no,
They
no.
won
They
the
won-
Euro
they
in
won the
2004.
Euro,
They'll
but-
they'll hold
Nothing
on
to
to
do with
that for the
people.
rest of their lives.
Nothing to do with the people for me. That final in Euro 2004 when they played Portugal and won, that was the worst game of football I think I'd ever watched. The only game that comes close for me in terms of quality is Juventus AC Milan in that Champions League final they had.
Yeah.
I think it was 2003 or something. For me, Greece, I don't think Greece will score a goal either.
You know
This
what
group-
was good about Greece winning the 2004 Euro, though?
What?
A lot of shops in Belmore set up free souvlaki stands.
Is there ever a moment where you're not thinking about your stomach? You've mentioned the pizzas about 6 times in this podcast. and now
Mate,
you're
I'm
talking about
hungry.
Can we move on to
We've got to
the-
give this
fair
guy
the
enough.
some heads up.
the second
D,
group
Group
of
D.
death?
Group
Now
D.
we got 3
My
World Cup
favourite
winners
group.
in
My
this.
favourite group.
In this group, we have 3 World Cup winners. We got Uruguay, Italy, and England.
Yeah.
Didn't
Can you
Are,
say, can you,
are,
didn't
are
Uruguay-
any of those 3 genuine contenders?
Well, do you want to start off by talking about the team that won't get out of this group? Get
Costa
them out of the way
Rica,
first?
enough
Well,
said.
Forget it.
do we
Done.
need to say anything about
No.
Costa Rica?
No, Joel Campbell's
Well,
the
they-
best player.
Joel Campbell is an Arsenal learnee, so I
Rubbish.
do have a soft spot for him.
Rubbish.
Brian Ruiz was fantastic for Fulham in their relegated season.
Yeah, great, brilliant. Your
He
star
was
player
fantastic.
comes from a relegated side. You are having a laugh.
Well,
Good on
actually, no, hold on a second. Brian Ruiz left Fulham in the January transfer window,
PSV.
didn't he? He's at PSV. He is.
Wow.
So
Okay.
there you go.
Wait.
So maybe that's why Fulham got relegated.
But he scored 8 goals and he scored 1
I'm
goal
just-
in 8 appearances for PSV.
Honestly,
so much on
sorry
that
to
one.
say this. I'm just looking at this, North American qualifier. There's 6 teams and 4 go through. Like, seriously. Is that why the likes of Costa Rica are through in this World Cup?
Of
Yeah.
course, Costa
Honestly,
Rica and what?
You got
Honduras?
6. Look, you got United States, Costa Rica, Honduras, Mexico finished 4th,
Yeah,
which
I
we
know.
spoke about earlier, Panama, and Jamaica. Like, I reckon if we put together a football team, we'd be able to at least finish 6th. surely.
Who's the
They
team?
make up the
Who's
numbers.
the team that would come on top of?
Panama.
I don't know, let's think. Is it El Salvador? Are they?
You're
North
missing
American?
teams. You're missing teams.
Well, there's 6 teams I got.
You got the wrong information.
Nah, it's 6. That's said it's 6.
It's
The
not just
final
6.
round
There's
is
not a
6.
confederation. It's 6 teams.
No. There
You
is
got the wrong
there is
information.
early a group, but the final stage is
In the
considered
final
6.
stages,
Anyways, let's just
Get our
say-
producer George Aqua on the line. Let's see if he's giving us false
Leave him,
stats
leave
here
him,
or
leave him,
something.
leave him. He's
All right,
eating-
let's
he's
come
eating
on.
peas, he's eating
All right,
peas.
guys.
So I think
Costa
the Axe is on Facebook. He doesn't want to be interrupted. Sorry, George.
All right, well,
We'll carry on with
George,
this
check
group.
Let's
in
start-
here, mate. George, check us in, please.
let's start off with
Start now.
Uruguay then. I mean,
Uruguay.
forget Costa Rica. Let's start off with Uruguay, right? They are, for me, a very strong side, right? I know they got some weaknesses in their midfield, but up front they got 2 of the best strikers on the planet, right? And understanding obviously Suarez is he's got some injury problems, but if there is a player who comes out and plays 100% of the time with no relaxation towards any game, it's Suarez. And people keep talking about Suarez's injury and whatnot. They forget about Cavani and the fact that even though he played out of position at PSG last season,
He still scored
he still scored double
20,
digit. Yeah,
24 goals, was
absolutely, it was about 24 goals.
it? Wow.
So you're talking about a side who, I mean, okay, they struggled in qualifying, but Uruguay is like Liverpool; they make it hard for themselves, right?
See-
So it's almost like they should have qualified a lot better than they did, but they never do that.
I think Suarez is probably the best player at coming back from some form of suspension injury and playing himself into immediate form.
Yeah.
You know, you get those players where they just,
Absolutely.
after 2 or 3 games, they just slowly get themselves back. Like even Messi does it. Remember when Messi had his injury? He needed a good month to get back into that form. I think Suarez, what did he start off? Like he
He
missed the
just- he
first 6
just hit-
games of the
hit
Liverpool
the
season
ground
and he won the
5, yeah.
Golden Boot by 5 or 6 goals. 7 goals, was it? Something like that. You know,
No, it
he's
wasn't that
and
much.
I think that a lot of it, a lot of this Uruguay success for this Uruguay squad does come off. And you know what? One player can win you a World Cup.
We saw it in what? 2002, Ronaldo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one player.
1998, Zidane.
And
That's
and
right.
you know what?
2006
and
was
he
the
doesn't
to the
have-
final.
And like what you were saying, Dave, they do have the defense. The defense is there, I think. But I think the midfield. But you know what? If that midfield could switch it on for just that month, which is not an easy month, they can do something. They can do damage. But
All right. Dave, let me ask you a question. Will Suarez be fully fit for the first game? And if he's not, does that affect their stock immediately?
No. Well, to answer both your questions, I think Suarez probably won't play the first game, and the reason why I
'Cause
say
Costa
that is
Rica?
because they're playing Costa Rica.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think if they were playing Italy or England, chances are he'd probably kill himself to get down the field. I think they'll fancy themselves against Costa Rica with a less than 100% squad. I think when it comes to Italy and Italy and England, I don't think Suarez will miss playing against England if his life, even if his life
No
depended on it,
chance.
right? There's no chance. So, and for me, I think there's a good chance that this entire squad. I mean, you have some weaknesses, but I mean, Diego Godin was probably the form defender in Europe last season.
Mm-hmm.
You got a lot of key players in this squad in key areas of the park. I think when they come together, they're really, really strong. I mean, Diego Lugano, yes, bad season last season. I mean, with West Brom, didn't play a lot of games, but
Yeah, but
you're talking about a player who comes and steps up whenever he plays for Uruguay and puts that captain's armband on.
Yeah, I think with
He's
Diego,
hard, right?
Dave, you being the Liverpool supporter, do you think Sebastian Coates has a chance of starting?
Yes.
Do
I mean,
you,
he's the
do you
young- he-
think
he
he's
won-
a
he
different
won-
proposition when it comes to Uruguay?
At the last Copa America, he won the Young Player of the tournament. I think that the fact that he's been playing for Nacional, I think, does him a lot of favours. I think if he was still at Liverpool, chances are he wouldn't have made the squad.
Definitely.
But I think I personally think he's had a rough run at Liverpool. I think he should have got a better run of things.
Well,
I think
he's
seeing
23 years old.
He's
you know?
23 years old. I mean, when you got Colo Touré starting in front of you, I think you have to ask yourself some serious questions about the club you're playing at, right? And this is Liverpool supporter talking.
this is
so I think-
sarcasm.
no. I mean, absolutely.
Just on Colo Touré, obviously he wasn't invincible, and yes, I'll always have a soft spot for him. But wasn't it me that told you that he's going to be an absolute flop at Liverpool?
But he
I
started
mean,
off really well. though.
correct me if I'm wrong, Dave. I mean, you
But he
you
started
did
off really
argue the
well.
point for a very long time.
Yeah, but he started off really well. That's the thing. He had a couple of good games.
How did he start off well? What,
Well, he's won 3
what
games in a row.
what
year.
game was
Yeah,
it that he
exactly.
scored that own goal? When he
that
had
was-
that
Oh,
absolute
that wonderful own goal
disgraceful-
against Fulham, was it?
It was West Brom.
I think
Was
he
it
scored
his
one against
second
Fulham where
game?
he-
Third game?
He scored two.
Oh, he
Two
scored
in what?
thousands.
2 games or
Yeah,
something?
something like that. All right, fine. But I'm saying he started off really well. I mean, what the fuck are we talking about Colo Touré for? Listen,
Maybe
I'm
Ivory Coast should play him up front.
Yeah. Well, well said from the man in the hood.
The hood's off now.
I mean, I haven't really said much about Uruguay. I really rate them as a squad. I think that they will top this group. I mean, it's a pretty bold statement considering you have the likes
No.
of Italy and England there.
Yeah.
But I think they'll top this group, and Suarez will obviously be a massive part of it, and so will Cavani. And I mean, you're talking about a team that just won the Copa America, and they were fourth at the last World Cup. I mean, Forlan was phenomenal in that World Cup, and he was what? How old was he then? 31. He's 35 now.
Playing for a team in Japan.
Is he gonna? Did he make the final?
Yeah,
23-man
he
squad.
made the final
Forlan?
23.
He won't
So,
get games. unless
Do
he's-
you
unless they
think
need him.
do you think he might start the first game with
No.
Cavani up front, or are they
No.
going to play
If Suarez,
4-5-1?
if Suarez doesn't play, it's touted. I've been hearing that if
Forlan?
Suarez isn't fit, Forlan gets to go with Cavani. They're
I,
trying
I think they
I
should
think,
play Abel
they're
They're playing
Hernandez.
two, yeah, exactly.
I think-
I'm with Ray on
I
this.
think Osa Tabarez is trying to gel them two just together, just in case as an emergency outlet. That's what I've been reading. But I think going on to that midfield, I think that one of the unsung heroes for this squad is Gaston Ramirez.
Yeah, for
He
Southampton. He had a
is
good
someone
year.
that
He had
hasn't
a
really.
fantastic
He's
season.
exactly. He's someone that hasn't been mentioned, hasn't been spoken about. What's he? 23 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
already played 30 odd caps, and I think he's
28
a
caps.
future captain for this squad, and he is someone that they can pin their hopes on. I think him and Suarez, if them two link it together, they will be the best combination in the World Cup. They remind me of a sort of Schneider Van Persie sort of outlet where you got the heart and soul of that midfield, that centre forward with the amazing striker, and if them two can turn it on, I think we're looking.
Did he have a good season at Southampton?
He had a strong season at Southampton, yes,
Definitely.
and he won't
I
survive
mean,
at
Southampton
Southampton.
did well, but
Southampton,
did
he'll
Gaston
leave.
Ramirez? I mean, that was surely around Lallana, Rodriguez, Lambert. I didn't hear. I mean, I didn't see anything.
He was an
special come out
unsung
of-
hero.
He-
I didn't
He's
see
been an
anything special
unsung
come out
hero
of
the whole
Ramirez.
year.
He only played 18 games. He played 18 games, 3 assists, and
He had a
1
few
goal.
injuries. He had a few injuries.
I
but
mean,
he's-
it's not all about stats.
I'm not looking to Gaston Ramirez for inspiration. in the
I
squad. I'm looking
saw
elsewhere.
him against Arsenal. Obviously, I saw him against a few of the bigger squads, and I thought he played very well. I think he's a good player. I rate him highly.
All right,
I
well,
mean,
that's.
quite simple, but the truth.
What about it? What about Italy, guys? What do you reckon?
Well, I think the question with Italy is who starts up front. You got your Lovo, Mario Balotelli, who idiotically or made that stupid statue of himself imitating the famous Jesus statue in Brazil, or you got Immobile, who's scored 22 odd goals for Torino, who just finalised his move to Borussia Dortmund last week. That's the question. If I had to answer it, it's still his Balotelli. I think just that fact that he's that X factor, he'll turn up, and he always does for some reason with Italy. He turns up, 10 out of 10 performance, and I think that Prandelli sort of judges on who he versus on who he starts.
I think if you leave a player on the bench who scored 22 goals last season and put in a player who scored, admittedly, 16 goals, so had a decent season in itself, but played for a pretty rubbish side, I mean, you got a lot to answer for. I think Immobile starts for me. I think he has to. I think he's earned it. He's just earned himself a big move to Dortmund. I mean, we're talking about players on the rise here, and I think you want to keep that momentum going, especially since in the first game they're coming up against England. You know, I think. Do you want to risk yourself on a player? For me, I find that you risk yourself on a player like Balotelli, and you're asking for problems. I don't rate Balotelli that highly as a player. I think he's got a lot of skill, a lot of technique, but I think his brain isn't there, his mind isn't there, and I think he's for Manchester City, he was a good player. He was key. He was instrumental in them winning the title in the sense that he assisted that last goal and had a couple of good moments throughout the season. But I think he was also the cause of.
If you're England, who do you want? Who do you want to come up against? If you're Gary Cahill and whoever they have in their centre half, you can tell us that later.
I want
Balotelli.
Balotelli.
I'd rather verse Immobile.
Yeah,
Balotelli's got an X factor to him,
Yeah,
Dave.
exactly. I'd go Three. I'd say
He's
Immobile.
got the X factor.
He's pretty. I know this is going to sound pretty harsh. I think he's just too obvious. I think he's just one of those obvious strikers where Gary Cahill's come up against a lot of them for Chelsea. He'd sort of know how to read them. Whereas Balotelli, that X factor, he's just got that, stand, shoot, goal. What now? That's what it is with Balotelli.
He just has that nonchalant attitude, doesn't he?
Yeah, and
I'll just score here. He they asked him a question in an interview, and they asked him, why is it that you don't really celebrate your goals when you score? And he said, because it's his job, and it's just what he does. And it just really sums him up, It just sums up the player he is, and exactly like you said, just stand and deliver, turn, shoot, walk away.
How many times have we seen that? How many times have you guys seen him do it in his career? For AC Milan this season, especially, I think he scored the goal of the season in the Serie A. Remember that wonder strike?
He just turned around and just walked
He just
off.
turned straight. He like nothing happened, and I think that's part of his attitude. Love him or hate him, you're laughing if you're the Italian coach because you're only going to get him 2 or 3 times in a campaign. Whereas if you're his club manager, it's different. You got to deal with him on a day-to-day basis. But I think you want him to start. I just think you do. I think I think you probably start Immobile against the lesser, like against your Costa Rica, because he'd get you the odd goal or two just to shut that game up and finish it nice and early. You don't want to go 0-0 against a team like Costa Rica because they'll be playing for that 1 point. But I think against England, who we'll get onto shortly, they need to attack. And I think that's just going to be perfect for Balotelli because that's what he wants. He's a soft player.
Well, admittedly, Italy are a more attacking side under Cesare Prandelli.
Correct.
Do you think they've shaken off that tag of being a defensive side?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people who don't keep up to date with what's
do you
going
think
on.
one? Do you think 1 year? Do you think 1 year is enough though? I mean, under Prandelli, that's basically when they've really become an attacking side. Is it enough to shake off that stereotype?
Well,
I mean, we're not talking about stereotypes here. I mean, at the end of the day, it all matters about performance. But their attacking approach has come at a cost. I mean, they have conceded more goals than they ever have. But I personally am really happy to see this Italian squad playing an attacking style of football because they do have quite a good squad. I mean, yeah, Pirlo's been around for ages, and a lot of their players have been around for ages. But I'm really happy to see it.
Well, you know what, Ralph? I don't care if they scored 1 million goals in qualifying and if they score 1 million goals in the World Cup and score 1 million goals in the next World Cup. Their key is their defence. Bonucci, Barzagli, and Chiellini. They've won, 2 or 3 past the 3 straight Serie A's for Juventus. They're all going to start at the World Cup.
You think Chiellini will start? You don't think
he should. I don't think he's past it. I think he should start. Him, Barzagli, and Bonucci. The same 3 that start for Juventus should start for Italy, and I think they're the key. Because that relationship with Buffon, having that relationship with your goalkeeper, it's just going to work wonders.
Do you think that it's a situation where any team that locks up Pirlo locks up Italy?
No.
You think they've got quality elsewhere in the park?
Marchesio's got some quality.
I think it's true. I agree with you, Dave. I think that so much of English, the Italian success he does rely on Buffon and Pirlo. Like them two, they deserve anything they get. They have been standouts to their club career. They won it together in 2006. You know, they're stalwarts. They deserve it. And
And
I
Pirlo just signed a 2-year contract extension.
yeah, he just extended his
Yeah,
contract.
he's still firing. I mean,
And
He had a
he's
great year.
another.
Pirlo is someone that every footballer should model their game on. He doesn't rely on strength. He doesn't rely on speed. He does have obviously has skill to be
He's
able
a
to retain.
technical genius.
He is a technical genius, and any player, if I was a coach, I would model my troops to base their game on Pirlo, because you don't have to rely on your speed. You don't have to have
Yep.
that X factor as a player, that ability that sets you apart from the rest.
Yeah.
You model your game on Pirlo, and you have that speed, and you have the pace and whatnot, and you're going to be a phenomenal player.
Well, you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Model your game on Pirlo, and it wouldn't hurt if you got your young'un to grow a beard as well, because I think the
And your
beard's a
hair.
big part of his game.
Yeah, might
Do,
be.
do you think if he shaved that beard, he'd lose his powers?
Yes.
But what about, like, who have less hair on his face? He might
No.
get some aerodynamics.
No. It's
No,
the
no.
beard. It's like Xabi Alonso. More beard, more power.
I could see Pirlo walking onto that pitch with a glass of wine in his hand, and he'll still probably be the best player.
So
on the
let me
park.
get this straight. First, it's pizza, LeBron, something else now we're talking about a male's facial hair.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on.
Moving on.
Give
We've
us
got
Eng- give us England,
England.
Dave.
We've got England before we get onto this pizza. So, come on, Dave. 5 players from Liverpool. What are your thoughts on England?
Our first thought is I can't wait for Liverpool to see. I can't wait to see how far Liverpool get in the World Cup. And it's 6 players, by the way. Ricky Lambert's
My
Ricky Lambert's
mistake.
a Liverpoolian now. You call it a little bit of bias in the sense that there's a lot of Liverpool players in this squad, but I really, really like the makeup of this squad. I think Roy Hodgson has done wonders for the expectation level in England, in the sense that he's managed to simultaneously bring it down, but at the same time generate a lot of optimism around the squad. So a lot of the commentary coming out of England is that they don't expect their team to go too far, but at the same time they say that with a sense of optimism, in the sense that there's a very, very young squad here, a very exciting squad, a lot of attacking players. So I think they're sort of waiting with bated breath to see what this team can generate for them. And for me, it's one of the more exciting squads in the World Cup, and I think they'll make it out of this group, to be perfectly honest. I think they've got the right mix of players. I think Roy Hodgson he has no choice with the mix of players that he's chosen. I mean, I think there's been some criticism. I know you've spoken to me, Ralph, about this before, but the fact that he's picked all of these players and whether or not he plays them in a conservative fashion or not, I think that the players he's picked, he can't play them in a conservative fashion. I think the most conservative he can get is playing 2 holding midfielders, and the way he's been doing it in the friendlies so far has been playing Gerrard and Henderson in that withdrawn role. But even having Henderson in a withdrawn role, Henderson's the sort of player that he's going to get forward. He just has that in his game. He's been restraining himself so far, but I think you put him out in that pitch in the World Cup, and I think you're going to have a hell of a time trying to hold him back getting forward, right? For me, it's the question less becomes about how this team's going to perform in the group stage and more about who it is that's actually going to start. I mean, you hear a lot of commentary around whether Wayne Rooney's going to start, whether Raheem Sterling's going to start, whether Adam Lallana's going to be start. Who's going to have that number 9 position up front? Is it going to be Rooney? Is it going to be Sturridge? I mean, what are your thoughts?
I think that England need to take that Liverpool approach. I think that's it. That's for the way that they got to succeed with exactly what
but
you said.
He won't do
They
he
won't do that.
He
bro.
won't do that though.
They won't. Look,
Well,
Dave.
I mean, look, this is coming from a Liverpool
Then
supporter.
they
right?
don't get out of the group.
But a Liverpool supporter for me, right? Coming from this perspective, you play like Liverpool. You're going to get the early goals. Yes, you're going to have a lot of impetus to get forward. You're going to get a lot of drive, but it is a little reckless. We weren't the best defensively, and I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that we had Gerrard protecting a back 4, and very more often than not, that back 4 was exposed on the counter attack. I think you're going to have a lot more games in the World Cup that are more like that Chelsea-Liverpool game, where you're going to have a lot of. It's going to be a lot more technical. You're going to come across teams who are going to be a lot more defensive. So I think if you play the Liverpool way, I think you're inviting trouble. I think playing 2 holding midfielders is the correct way to go about it, but it's the way the front 3 and the front 4 link together that I think is important. So playing the Liverpool way, I think the more Liverpool players you get into that front 3 or 4, I think the better.
So you'd start Sturridge over Rooney?
Absolutely. I think Rooney and Sturridge, for me, Rooney and Sturridge will start. I think they'll both start together. I think Rooney will either
Like as a centre forward sort of role.
yeah,
number 10.
I think Sturridge.
No.
I think for me, the starting lineup in terms of the forward line will be Sturridge up front playing that number 9 position. I think you'll have Adam Lallana on the left. I think personally, especially for the first game, I think you'll get Welbeck starting on the right with Raheem Sterling coming in as an impact stub, and I think you'll have Rooney playing just behind them, and then Gerrard and Henderson filling out the midfield. I think Henderson starts over Jack Wilshere. I haven't seen enough from Jack Wilshere to dictate a start. I think, in fact, Jack Wilshere for me has probably been the most regressed player in terms of development. I think he's gone backwards, and I think Scholes even came out and said that he's seen very little development out of Wilshere, and I think he needs to step up his game, and I absolutely agree with that. And I think Henderson's done more than enough to warrant a start in the squad.
Do you think goal line technology is introduced now in this World Cup? I think Frank Lampard, if he gets a game, he's happy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mind you hear what Roy Hodgson said in the media. What did he say, Ralph? Something about the lines that he doesn't want to play in Manaus or something?
Manaus,
what's going on there? You want to explain?
Basically, what's happened is Roy Hodgson, being the idiot that he is, has come out and said.
Ralph has a lot of love for Roy Hodgson, as you can just hear there.
I'll get to that, but for now, let's just talk about that fact. Basically, he's come out and said he doesn't want to play in Manaus or he hopes not to play in Manaus. And obviously, when you say something like that, Murphy's Law, you're going to get Manaus. Now, the people of Manaus, the mayor, they've all spoken. They're basically going to be rooting for Italy. So it's going to be an away game for England. It's going to be a home game for Italy. So good luck to them. And going back to England, look, I've had to bite my tongue while I've listened to you, Dave and Paul. And
I've said nothing. I've said nothing.
I'm sorry. I cannot see England progressing, and there are many reasons why. I'm a massive Arsenal supporter, as I've said many times in this podcast. And when Arsenal play well, they play with speed. Their passing is sleek. The ball is moved really fast. Now, England are the slowest team in the World Cup in transition. They sit there and they pass the ball between Henderson, Gerrard, and the defenders. And you know what? You can do that. You can do that to slow the tempo of the game down. But you cannot do that when you're sitting deep. Now, England sit deep. They're going to have this massive gap between the midfield and the attack. And the only thing they're going to do, they're going to pass the ball out to Baines or to Glenn Johnson, put the cross in, and they're going to be up against teams like Italy with the experience that they have, the likes of the Chiellinis, as you mentioned before, Ray, that are just, mate, they're just going to... England are going to have no ideas.
But
Is this a different England team? That's what we're not catching. This isn't an English team that were the ones where you had Rio Ferdinand, John Terry, old enough to be my father, but mind you, Ashley Cole, old enough to be my uncle. Mind you, I'm a Chelsea supporter here. Okay, and then you got Frank Lampard and Gerrard in the midfield, and you got a host of 30-year-old plus players. This is a fresh squad.
Absolutely.
This is a squad that is going to go out there very much similar to, I think, Australia, as dumb as it sounds. Well, I think Roy Hodgson doesn't think he's going to win this World Cup. And I think someone's come out and said, we won't win this World Cup.
Yeah, no, I
don't know. I think someone said, don't quote me. If you go up on Google and you type that in, I think it's there.
The expectation is not there. I mean, you look at the squad, right? You're talking about a game that's going 0-0. There's it's going slow. Ross Barkley comes off the bench. Raheem Sterling comes off the bench. Players like Luke Shaw come off the bench. Oxlade-Chamberlain comes off the bench. I mean, these are players that don't know how to play slow. And Oxlade-Chamberlain has been a standout player for me in the friendlies in a couple of the games in the last few weeks. So has Adam Lallana. These are players who have just slotted into the England setup and look like they should have been there, right?
He's a future
Adam
star.
Lallana is a player that can change the game.
Yeah.
Adam, I really have a soft spot for Southampton. I really love the way they're playing. I don't know if it's Pochettino. How do you pronounce his name?
Pochettino. Well, you're not going to love him in 3 months when he's at Tottenham.
Well, I'm going to hate him, obviously, but he has instilled this sort of confidence into that squad. And the likes of Lallana, the likes of Gaston Ramirez, Jay Rodriguez, they've really stepped up. Even Ricky Lambert. Now, Adam Lallana is a player that can... I mean... is he starting? Do you think he's going to start?
Who?
Adam Lallana.
Yes.
You know what? I could even go back and say, I mean, yes, I was saying that they're very slow in transition and so forth, but you know what? Adam Lallana is a player that can speed that team up. And you're right in what you're saying. The likes of Raheem Sterling, the likes of Oxlade-Chamberlain, Ross Barkley, they can change games. But the majority of those won't start, Dave.
Yeah, but they'll come off the bench. And you're talking about playing them now. So you mentioned playing in the heat.
We can speak about Group D forever, guys.
Well, the thing is, okay. Well, let's just cut it off there.
Wait.
Predictions,
Let
guys.
me cut you
let's-
off. I think Ricky Lambert's going to have the tournament of a lifetime. He's going to score about 10 goals.
Well, he's having the last few weeks of a lifetime, isn't he?
Let's
Yeah.
ask the question that I'm pretty sure every single World Cup supporter wants to hear from this group. Who goes through in the group of death? David.
Uruguay and England for me. I don't think Italy make it past the first round.
I think it's going to be England first and Uruguay, Italy second.
Actually, coming back to that, you're a supporter of England, aren't
I
you?
am.
Ray? Yeah. So I'm sorry. I'm going with Uruguay and Italy.
That's right.
Uruguay to top the group, Italy to come second, and England to come fourth.
Wow. Costa Rica will beat England. Brian Ruiz.
No, I'm overdoing it. England will finish third on goal difference. I think Italy will go through on goal difference.
I think Uruguay win all 3 games and England finish second. So Uruguay, England for me. England finish second.
So that means Italy wins one game or draws.
Yeah,
one game.
I don't know. Don't care. Italy won't go through. They just haven't. I think they just haven't got enough bite for me to get out of this group.
Yeah. Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good night, good evening, wherever the hell you are in the world. It's a time of day somewhere. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Studs Up, the football podcast. Now, I know it sounds like a musical, but bear with us for now. We're just a bunch of guys that want to sit around, talk some football, and we've got the World Cup coming up, and we're really, really excited. So what we want to do is we want to get cracking, start talking about all the teams, to get through all the players, look at tactics, coaches, and everything to do with the World Cup, because we are absolutely pumped and we've got a lot to say. Joining me, I'm David Semaan. Joining me,